If you're watching this video at night, you might want to leave a light on. Today, I'm going to tell you two true stories. Stories about ordinary people, just like you and me, who came face to face with one of the most terrifying creatures out there. Skinwalkers, shape-shifting beings that mimic human voices. They call your name, and they try to get in. Those who've seen one say it's something that shouldn't exist. And after what happened, they were never the same again. This story took place in 2006 in New Mexico. Ethan was 14 years old and had gone to spend a few days at his grandmother's house, a Navajo woman who lived in a remote area deep in the desert. The house was far from any town. No neighbors, no cell service, no internet. The kind of place where when night falls, the silence becomes deafening. On the second night, after a quiet dinner, Ethan went to the guest room. His grandma turned the lights off early, like she always did, and he laid in bed, listening to the wind outside. The only sound inside the house was the steady ticking of a wall clock down the hall. Around 3 a.m., he heard 3 quick knocks on the window. He sat up, silently trying to make sense of it. It sounded like it came from outside. For a second, he thought it might be a branch tapping the wind. But the window was on the second floor. There were no trees nearby, and the roof was way too high for someone to reach easily. Then came the second sound, a slow, dragging scratch on the glass like nails. Ethan got up slowly, heart pounding. The curtain was closed, but moonlight cast a shadow. Someone or something was out there. He carefully pulled the curtain aside, trying not to make a sound, and froze. On the other side of the glass was a face. The skin was stretched thin, almost translucent. The eyes were deep, unblinking, and the mouth was twisted into a smile, but not a human smile. It was empty, expressionless, and the strangest part, the face was level with the window, far too high for anyone standing on the ground. He stumbled backward and fell, hitting the floor. When he looked again, the face was gone. Ethan ran to his grandmother's room, shaking and in tears. He told her what he saw, expecting her to laugh or say it was just his imagination. But she didn't laugh. She didn't doubt him. She just looked at him seriously and said, "Don't speak to it. And if you hear anything, don't answer, no matter what it says." She got up, took a handful of dried herbs, and lit a thick incense, whispering words in a language Ethan didn't understand. Then she placed a bone charm by the door and told him to sleep with it under his pillow. The next night, Ethan struggled to fall asleep, but around 3 a.m., he woke up to a soft sound, a voice outside, whispering his name. Ethan opened a window. The most terrifying part, it was his mother's voice. Exactly the same, the tone, the warmth, just like when she used to comfort him as a child. But his mom was over 300 miles away. She couldn't be there, and he knew that. He stayed frozen in bed. The voice came again. "Sweetheart, it's okay, it's me, Mommy, let me in." It sounded calm, kind, but slowly, something started to feel off. The tone began to slip, like it didn't quite know how to say the words anymore. Like whatever was out there had learned how to speak by listening to recordings. And now, it was starting to forget how to fake it. The room turned cold. Ethan covered his face and cried silently as the voice kept calling. At one point, he even heard the doorknob move, but no one came in, just a sound, like it was testing him. The next morning, he told his grandma everything, and she said firmly, "They're skinwalkers. They mimic and wait for a chance to get in. But if you don't answer, they'll follow you for a while, then move on. You did the right thing. They can only come closer if you allow them. They can only enter if invited. Never, ever respond." Ethan stayed 2 more nights, but nothing else happened, and he never went back to that house again. This story was told by a couple named Amy and Josh, and it happened in 2013 during a road trip through the state of Arizona. They were driving back from a family visit, taking a rural highway that cut through the desert. It was around midnight. The stretch they were on was long, straight, and completely deserted. Outside, there was only darkness, the silhouette of desert rock formations lit by the moon. It was dead silent. Josh was driving, and Amy was half asleep, listening to music on the radio. Then suddenly, something ran across the road. Josh slammed on the brakes, nearly swerving off the shoulder. Amy screamed and grabbed the seat. As the headlights caught what had just crossed in front of them, they looked at each other, confused. It looked like a large coyote, but something was off. Its legs were way too thin. Its fur was patchy, like it was sick. And its head, the snout was too long, and the eyes were huge, dark, and looked almost human. "Did you see that?" Amy whispered. Josh didn't answer. He just hit the gas. But whatever it was didn't stay behind. A few minutes later, Josh noticed something running alongside the car, keeping up in the dark. The creature was big, and it moved with unnatural speed. At one point, it even stood up and ran on two legs for a few seconds before dropping back to all fours. The movement was grotesque, like its bones were being forced into shapes they weren't meant to be in. Amy, now panicking, begged Josh to pull over, but he refused. He just wanted to get out of there. Fast. Then, the radio started acting up. First just static. Then the stations began switching on their own. Suddenly, a voice came through the speakers, low, strained, like someone forcing out the words. "Amy!" It called her by name. She froze, her eyes filled with tears. That thing knew her name. "Josh, this isn't normal. This isn't normal," she kept repeating. Then the car started stalling. Josh had no choice but to pull over. They were in the middle of nowhere. No signal, no lights, and that thing was coming back down the road. This time the coyote, or whatever it was, moved slowly, its head tilted to the side, like it was studying the vehicle. Then it stopped a few feet away and sat down, like a person. Then they heard it, "Let me in." But it wasn't a whisper. It wasn't a growl. It was spoken clearly in Amy's father's voice. Josh immediately locked the doors. Amy was in shock, staring at the creature as it grinned. Its jaw twisted and unnatural. It just sat there for minutes, watching. It only disappeared when the headlights of another car appeared in the distance. As soon as the other car passed, Josh's engine turned back on, like nothing had ever happened. But it wasn't over. In the days that followed, Amy developed severe insomnia. She swore she could still hear her father's voice outside her window late at night, calling to her. And more than once, she woke up to dirty paw prints on the glass, as if something had been standing there, watching. When she told her grandfather what happened, he said just one thing: that wasn't a coyote, that was a skinwalker, and now that it knows your name, it can come back whenever it wants.